Exhausted the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt? Toss a coin to 10 RPGs that will scratch your Geralt itch. Right then, you've played The Witcher 3 to completion and done Netflix and kill with Henry Cavill and his impressive colour contacts. And now you want more Witcher. But which is the witchiest Witcher that's not the Wild Hunt? Well, the good news is that while there are, of course, the other entries in the series, and we've hidden one here like an unimpressive Doppler, there are also plenty of other games to sate your craving for open-world fantasy shenanigans. Here then, in no order whatsoever, are the 10 games to play on PC if you love The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Why not?
Splendid!
Surprise! The first entry isn't just another Witcher game, but it is the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, so we know you're not exactly sitting there with your jaw on the floor. But the thing is that even after 9 years, nothing truly compares to Bethesda's dragon-bothering masterwork. Nearly a decade of making jokes about taking arrows to knees has passed, and still we haven't found anything to rival the limitless possibilities of this curiously compelling world. Add in the infinite promise of modding, and you begin to wonder if there's really any need for any other games. If somehow you're one of those people who isn't nodding in agreement and ticking this off your mental "I've played that" list, then for the last time, you know what to do. After pretty much a decade of hooded, sneaky stabbing and linear but fun historical narratives, no one saw Assassin's Creed Odyssey coming. A truly stealthy surprise, this Hidden Blade free experience is a step up from Origins in every way. From that choice of Spartan proto-assassin onwards, Odyssey is all about you, and there's a distinct witcheriness to all of those new magical powers. To make up for the lack of Brotherhood's signature spring-loaded weapon, and I can feel Louise's AC radar tingling as I say this, the broken spear of Leonidas makes combat even more exciting as you channel the magic of those who came before with a mega-powerful Spartan kick. Go on, have it! Plus, just like Geralt's adventures in a question worthy of Socrates himself, are you even playing Odyssey if you don't have a finger hovering over the screenshot button? It's time to get lost for hundreds of hours again.
Everyone to your positions! We'll crash them!
Dragon Age Inquisition is what you get if you gave The Witcher 3 a nice bath. Yes, another nice bath. Polished its pauldrons and asked it not to swear too much. It has the romance, the monsters, the dense and dizzying storyline, but somehow it feels more reserved. While Geralt is rolling in filth and murdering mucknixers for coin, Inquisition is dressing up in its smartest doublet and going out to balls. There are bleak, savage moments too, as the Inquisitor, the fate of the world rests on your armoured shoulders, but if you want a slightly warmer game than CD Projekt Red's Swords and Slime Sim, Dragon Age is different enough to be worth your time. It's also perfect if you love the idea of The Witcher, but don't feel like playing as a Witcher. Dragon Age has a famously robust character creator, which makes the world feel even more like it's yours. Yes, that's what I look like in real life. Genetics hasn't been kind to me.
What's wrong with it?
And here it is. This, then, is a pretty obvious one. If you love The Witcher 3, it makes perfect sense for you to play The Witcher 2. First of all, it's a better way of learning about Geralt's history than scanning a Wikipedia page. And secondly, despite it being almost 10 years old, it still holds up as a technically impressive title with some lovely moments. And there are people who even prefer the writing in Assassins of Kings. The multiple factions are fully fleshed out, the sense of morality is famously blurred, and the shadow of impending conflict is palpable. It's also a shorter, tighter experience. The story is half the length of the third game, making it feel more focused and streamlined. Plus, if you're here because you're watching the Netflix TV show, and let's face it, that is a possibility, then the events in the second game will reflect what you've seen more closely.
We heard you.
If the one thing you don't like about The Witcher 3 is having to obsess over armour and weapon repair kits as Geralt's gear degrades like your resolve to go to bed before midnight and Kingdom Come Deliverance is not the game for you. But if you do like micromanaging the intricacies of a grim medieval world, then it's time to sign on the line that may or may not be covered in rotten food, depending on where you put that apple in your bag. With truly impressive attention to detail, Kingdom Come Deliverance is the RPG equivalent of the endless childlike questioning of what if? What if I surrendered? What if I choked a stranger and stole his armour? What if, instead of saving the world, I spent my day picking nettles in a meadow to make my hands extra tough? If you do plan on heading into this ultra in-depth fantasy fair, at least take the knowledge of our starter tips with you. The link is on screen now. And don't say we didn't warn you.
I didn't kill anyone. The corpse was already lying there when I got here.
Sprawling world, check. Grizzled hero, affirmative. While Red Dead 2's glorious Americana doesn't have a single drowner lurking in its rivers, unless you make your own, to miss Rockstar's cowboy behemoth off this video would get us onto some kind of bounty list. Erring firmly on Geralt's action-adventure side, Arthur Morgan's journey through the Old West has that same exhilarating level of potential that you feel the first time you leave White Orchard. As Bilbo Baggins said so well, it's a dangerous business going out of your door, and few other open worlds encapsulate that feeling of stepping out onto the road and having no idea where you might end up. Whether you're out hunting in the wilderness, robbing the rich to feed, yourself, or engaging in some target practice while riding your roach replacement, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the perfect Witcher alternative.
Please. I'm waiting for someone interesting to turn up.
Monster Hunter World is what The Witcher 3 would be called if dull marketing execs renamed it. What do you do? Where's it set? Because yes, you fight monsters, and yes, it's set in a huge, varied, sporadically beautiful world full of unusual flora and fauna. The story here is obviously far less nuanced than Geralt's exploits around the Northern Realms, but it shares a love of amazing monsters and their complete and utter destruction. And just as you take your time and plan in The Witcher 3, many of the fights in Monster Hunter World are all about trial, error and adaptation. It's unlikely we'll ever see Geralt frequenting a chop cooking canteen run by culinary-focused felines, more's the pity, but if your jam is fabulous beasts and how to destroy them, then there's a whole new menagerie of creatures to kill here. Sometimes, as much as you hate to agree, there is such a thing as too many dragons. Thankfully though, this is where Fallout New Vegas rears its fashionably protected head and lets you forge your own unique way through a nuclear post-apocalypse. A full decade on from its original release, and this is still the Fallout game to beat, with an incredible story and a cast of brilliant characters. It might not look or smell like The Witcher, but there's that same sense of making a difference in Fallout. You are a flawed person surrounded by a stack of other flawed individuals, and you can make your imperfect choices any way you want. It's refreshing, invigorating, and truly joyously apocalyptic. And remember, what happens in New Vegas stays in New Vegas, which, to be honest, is probably for the best. You may well remember Greedfall from our list of the best RPGs to play in 2019, and that's exactly why you should give it a go as part of your resolution to try and give up the mutagens for a whole year. It doesn't have the polish of The Witcher 3, but that's honestly part of what's so endearing about this ambitious fantasy open world. It knows exactly what it is, and that's old school, business as usual, thigh-slapping adventure. Thank you very much. Quests can be approached in a refreshing variety of ways, blending stealth and deception. You've got a party of totally romanceable individuals, and you can sail in and out of the sweeping narrative as you please. Never has a quest to cure a deadly plague, why is it always a plague, been so much good, old-fashioned fun. As you make tough choices and build fragile alliances in a world of morally questionable factions. And of course there are monsters as well. Does a tree count as a monster? We're going to say yes. And it might be cheating slightly, but of course, Gwent is here, the favourite card game of witchers, merchants and bartenders the world over. This is the standalone version of The Witcher 3's turn-based destroy their siege cards with weather 'em up. It's also a very different experience. While the general idea remains the same, best of 3, leaders and mulliganing aplenty, there are some big changes to make this a more compelling PvP experience rather than just psyching your AI opponent out after the first round. For one thing, you actually get to pick up cards after each round, meaning that you might not fail as spectacularly as it first appears, and there are dozens more ways to tactically influence the battlefield. It might seem intimidating at first, but settle down with mead, music and a friend, or indeed an enemy with a pocket of crowns, and just see how it goes. So that's 10 games to play on PC if you're craving that Witcher 3 experience but can't face starting New Game Plus. Let us know if we've missed your favourite Geralt alternatives in the comments below, and subscribe to Logitech G for more videos just like this one. And if you do already subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when our next video falls out of the sky like a really angry harpy.